Many of us like to follow shows and movies that show times in the past, the feudal times in places like Scotland. And we hear a lot about clans from movies like Braveheart and TV shows like Outlander. But did you know that clans still exist and there is a modernization to the concept that's taking place in Scotland? Carol and I had an opportunity to visit Scotland. We'd been there before, but on a recent trip, we had, as part of our tour, the opportunity to visit the clan estate and castle of a particular family in Scotland. And it was just fascinating and amazing. And I was so intrigued that I reached out to them and asked if they would be willing to join us and talk about what they are doing there, talk about the history of their family, talk about their clan, and talk about their beautiful estate and all the things they are doing in the 21st century to make it sustainable. So put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, and join the conversation because it's time for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Well, welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve. My name is Steve, and this is the show where we come together around our virtual coffee table each week and join the conversation to chat about interesting topics with amazing guests. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. If you've been with us before, of course, welcome back. Yes, we are going to be talking about Scotland today. We're going to be meeting a couple who just have an amazing story to tell. And I can almost guarantee you, just like with some of our recent conversations with people in European countries and talking about the beauty of their countries, when you hear from this couple and you hear about their estate, when you hear about their family, you're going to want to visit. I know I want to go back. So, hey, just want to say hello to a few people here, see who is here with us, and just get our comments up here on the stage so that we can all be in this together. And I see Shalane is here. Good, nice shirt. I assume you're matchy. Yes, I am matchy, and I'll have pictures up on Facebook later, Shalane. So you can that's part of the reason I'm doing this. Shalane got after me last week because I wasn't posting enough pictures of my holiday-related attire on Facebook so that she could share with coworkers and friends. So I started doing that on a daily basis, and I will again today. Definitely matchy, yes. And Rick, good morning. Shalane, everybody drink. Thank you. Kathy Garlic is here. Good morning. Hi. And if you are joining us, do what these people have done and say hello in the chat. And when we do get to our conversation with our guests, we invite you, encourage you to participate with your questions, your comments. They may or may not, sometimes, especially when we're dealing with people in remote time zones, remote from where I'm at. For them, it's their local time zone, but it's remote from where I'm at. And it's now evening, dinner time in the United Kingdom, in Scotland. And so it may be difficult for our guests to join us live, but oftentimes they will come in later on and join the conversation and respond to chats. And just want to welcome anybody who is joining us for the first time today. And just a quick reminder that we do moderate the chat here, and we do ask that your comments remain respectful, and that you also let us know where you're from and why you're joining today. Maybe you were introduced because of our guests. Maybe you're coming to us for the first time, but we do encourage and invite you to be here today. And again, just ask that you can interact with each other as long as we keep it respectful and appropriate. I like that. All right, listen, I want to get to our sweet and savory, share some things that are coming up today and in the week ahead. This one I really appreciated and enjoyed. Many of us, if you're like me, and I know that I am, you've been involved over the years in choirs, in going caroling at this time of year, etc. And there was a recent study that came out, and it wasn't, this is not necessarily brand new information because these studies do come out from time to time. But this study was in England by a group of researchers. And the bottom line to it is that singing together is good for you. Singing in groups. Singing's long been linked to better health and well-being, but recent research shows the benefits are even greater when we sing together. Group singing activates the vagus nerve, helping the body calm itself through slow, deep breathing, while also lighting up both sides of the brain and releasing feel-good endorphins. Scientists have found that singing can regulate heart rate and blood pressure and provide physical exertion comparable to a brisk walk. Even more impressive, singing in groups has been shown to boost immune function in ways that simply listening to music cannot. Humans are wired for connection, and singing taps directly into that. Studies show strangers can form unusually strong bonds after singing together, stronger than many team sports, an effect researchers call the icebreaker effect. In short, whether it's a choir, karaoke, or caroling, singing together isn't just fun, it's deeply human, healthy, and powerful. And as someone who spent a lot of years participating in choirs, doing caroling, even directing choirs, I find this reassuring, and I can actually speak to the truth of it. Hello to all of you who are joining us right now, and just again want to welcome you to Coffee Breaks with Steve. I hope that you are prepared to participate in the chat. And once again, we do ask that it remains respectful and relevant to what we are talking about today, and glad that you all can be here. Hey, we have a couple of birthdays to celebrate this week. Rebecca Blair, a dear friend, actually one of our kind of adopted kids, went to college with Chelan and has remained very, very close to our family. Rebecca is celebrating a birthday this coming week on the 18th of December. As well as on that same date, Carson Wheelock is turning. How old is she turning this week? I know it. I don't want to say it out loud because you know what? I don't mind getting older. I know I'm getting older. It happens. I've never been upset by any of my own milestone birthdays. It's watching my kids and my grandkids hit certain times and birthdays and just getting older, watching the grandkids grow up makes me kind of wonder where the time has gone. But anyway, Carson is celebrating, yes, her 8th birthday this coming week. And so happy birthday to Carson as well. Just big deals to celebrate those times. You have a special day this week. Let us know in the chat. You have a special day coming up, perhaps before the end of this year or into next year, or maybe you have an update of your own, a news story or an item of interest for our Sweet and Savory segment. You can send us an email to cbwsteve@comcast.net, cbwsteve@comcast.net. We will make sure that we get your important date on our calendar and can celebrate and acknowledge with you. If you've got something you think would be a great story, like singing together for our Sweet and Savory, or as Chelan calls it, the charcuterie, let us know that as well. And we are more than happy to look into those and share those as part of the Sweet and Savory. All right, listen, I want to let you know what our guests are all about this week. And again, as I mentioned, it was just intriguing to be able to visit this castle, this estate, to meet these people and to hear the history and hear what is so special about what they are doing there. And you're going to hear that directly from them in a minute. So let me just tell you a little bit about them. Simon Douglas Houison Craufurd of Craufurdland in Braehead is the 29th Laird of Clan Craufurd. Raised at Craufurdland, Simon inherited the title from his father, Peter Houison Craufurd, the 28th Laird. Simon and his wife, Adity, moved from a modest farmhouse on the estate into the castle in 2011. Since then, they have worked full-time to make the estate financially sustainable, further modernizing the castle and adding a variety of features on the property. They operate the Laird's Table, a restaurant located on the grounds, and have host a variety of outdoor activities, team building events, weddings, and tours at Craufurdland. Simon and Adity live in one half of the castle with their daughters Indra and Amira, using the Tower House as a luxury self-catering Airbnb apartment for up to 16 people. they continue to renovate and restore the castle. Their initial effort to make Craufurd sustainable was documented in a 2012 episode of the British Channel 4 series Country House Rescue, and the Houison Craufurds have shared historically significant heirlooms on Antiques Roadshow. So now, here is my conversation and your opportunity to meet Simon and Adity Houison Craufurd. Simon and Adity, welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us here.
Not at all. It's our pleasure, Steve. Lovely to see you.
Yes, thank you, and you as well. And I think the beginning point here is for people to get a bit of an understanding about the history of the Craufurd family and of Craufurdland itself, the castle and the estate, and just a little bit of the background in history.
Over to you.
Okay. So I'm the 29th generation of Crawfords that have lived here at Craufurdland. So our family have been here on this bit of land since 1245, having inherited through Sir Reginald de Craufurd, and a few generations further back, we go back to a guy called Thorlongus, who was at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. So we can trace ourselves all the way back to him, so which is quite an amazing thing to be able to do, I guess. And so we've got a long series of generations who've lived here and had their interactions with all sorts in Scotland. So it's a great privilege to be part of the family.
I think a lot of people have their picture of what it means to be a clan laird from watching movies like Braveheart or seeing TV series like Outlander, and they have this picture from history, but also from fiction. And I'm curious, and I think other people are probably curious as well, as to what it means to be a laird in modern times in Scotland.
Well, for me, I can't speak for all lairds in Scotland, but for me, we have a relatively small estate. However, we've diversified a lot, so we have lots of different fingers and different pies on the estate. And day to day for us is who knows what the day will bring, whether it be helping out in the restaurant kitchen, dealing with outdoor stuff, or I've just literally come 5 minutes ago from trying to fix a burst water pipe at one of the houses on the estate. So it's just a bit of everything, none of it particularly glamorous, except when I have the privilege of meeting people like yourself on tours, and I get myself all dressed up in my glad rags and can chat about history and heritage and so on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it ends up kind of firefighting as well. It doesn't matter how well you plan your day. So it's like today, we had our day planned, and then got a call from the farmer to say that there's water pouring out of the cottage down the road. So that's Simon dealing with that. I've been in the restaurant talking to customers, getting involved in conversations that kind of go all over the place. Yeah. No 2 days are alike. And it's about trying to get all the assets to work for you symbiotically. And that's the difficult bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned, houses on the estate. You mentioned the restaurant. And when you stepped into this role, when you inherited the estate and the role, I can just imagine that in modern times, particularly trying to maintain an ancient castle and estate and make what you are doing sustainable so that it doesn't simply collapse. I mean, I'm certain so many of these estates that were established so many centuries ago have not been able to survive. And you have managed to turn Craufurdland into a sustainable venture. Can you talk a little bit about that process and some of the things that you are currently doing to help maintain it?
I think the first thing I would say is I think we're on the way to being sustainable.
Okay.
I don't think we're quite there. It's still a bit of an uphill battle, and I think we've still got more work to do. When I took on the estate, it was primarily just the land being farmed by tenant farmers and a number of tenants in properties on the estate. And we've gradually looked at trying to use the assets in different ways. So just to quickly list off a few of the things that we have on the estate, we have a woodland burial ground. That was established in 2002. We have outdoor activities that started back in 2012 when we did our first mud run. Just a little boast,
we actually won Best Mud against Tough Mudder 3 years running.
That's good bragging rights.
Yeah.
To the outdoor activities, we do lots of different outdoor activities. We now have a treetop high wire course, which is kind of like Go 8, but we're independent of the brand. We do archery, mud runs. We have mountain bike trails, orienteering,
bushcraft, team building games, mini Highland games.
Yeah. Adity and I moved into the castle to live here in 2011. And when we did that, my parents split the house in the early 80s into two kind of large apartments. We live on one side and we use the other side now as a luxury self-catering. And then 2018, we built the restaurant on site at the down near the fishing lochen. And we're now starting to look at whether or not we're going to try and expand our accommodation to have more accommodation on the estate, so possibly lodges or glamping pods or something along that lines. And maybe we'll get to be sustainable, but we're still not 100% sure. We're not there yet.
Not there yet, but you're working toward it. And it really is, you talk about on your website, managing Craufurd land as a family affair. And I mean, it goes beyond just the two of you trying to manage and maintain it all, correct?
Yeah. So my brother and I have worked together on the estate for probably about 15, maybe getting closer to 20 years. Mm-hmm. And our daughters now help out as well. They both.
Indra has been working in the restaurant since she was 13. Yeah. I mean, albeit initially it was only 2 hours a week. And now she's maybe doing about 30 hours a week. I think she may have served you on the tour.
Yeah.
And Manisha, our younger one, has been less active, has more outside interest, but she is actively part of the staff as well at the moment.
And also she's been doing a lot of baking. So it truly is a family affair. Simon's been in the kitchen. She's been baking. I've been front of house. Indra's been front of house.
Indra, myself, Aditi, and my brother are all outdoor instructors for our outdoor activities as well. So we kind of, we do all sorts.
Can you share a little bit about how the two of you met and what led to you getting married?
The second part, I don't think either of us could answer that. But what on earth?
People always love a good romance story. You know?
So we met doing a part-time MBA at one of the business schools in Glasgow at Strathclyde University, and we both ended up there for very different reasons. I was working as a researcher in the university in one of the engineering departments, and I wanted to get something a wee bit different out of my university work life, and my boss sponsored me through the MBA.
I was in pharmaceuticals looking to diversify, so I sponsored myself through the MBA, and we started dating second term in first year, got married first term in second year.
No, first term in third year.
Oh, first term in third year. And in November, that's us been married 23 years.
Very good.
Congratulations. And interestingly, totally independently, we'd both decided we wanted to specialise in finance and strategy. And the idea was to go away down to London and earn a fortune. And after we graduated, we decided, actually, we should use our skills to diversify the estate and see if we can turn it around so it's in the family for another 800 years.
Yeah, we had moved on to the estate by that point. We were living in a slightly smaller dwelling than this because we were in one of the small farm cottages. which we sometimes hanker back to.
Yeah.
So we were very much, we were living the country life, and we wanted to continue that.
Aditi, I'm going to address this one to you, although both of you can answer this, but there are significant challenges in maintaining a home that is a centuries-old castle, essentially, and trying to keep it up and trying to make it cost-effective. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges and some of the things that you do to address that?
So I think you guys have a similar, so we're what's called a fully A-listed building, which means basically the only thing we can really do is change the color of the walls. Anything we add needs to be able to be removed again. So we can't structurally change anything here. If a window breaks, it needs to be single glazed, old-fashioned glass. I can't just replace it with normal glass. Also, insurance has gone up exponentially because the rebuild value is far, far greater. And it's about 15 times more than the actual market value of the castle. Because the way it works here is, God forbid, if a plane was to go into the building, the quarry that the sandstone came from would have to be opened up to provide that sandstone again.
Right. It all has to be original.
Yeah. So our insurance costs have gone up exponentially since we moved in 2011.
And I would also imagine things like just the utilities, maintaining heating, air conditioning, and everything else in a building that's that old. How does that
we
work?
don't have air conditioning. We use a biomass boiler, 140 kilowatt biomass boiler that is on 24/7, 365 days of the year. And our electricity is extortionate. It's.
I mean, the castle, because of it's the history of the house, it doesn't make looking after it or heating it particularly easy, because it was built in lots of different periods of time, which means that virtually every wall in the house has at some point been an external wall. And the significance of that is that certainly in those days in Scotland, when you built an external wall, it was 3 or 4 foot thick of solid stone. So there's a lot of building and a lot of stone to try and warm up, but it seems to be very good at cooling down.
Storm Amy, we didn't have power for 3 days and it was absolutely freezing. Luckily, we have a wood burning stove, so we basically lived in our sitting room like the olden days, but it took a while to heat up the house again.
Yeah, I think it's also worthwhile in this conversation to talk a little bit about your connections, your family's connections, modern times, but also historically to some key figures. There's connections to the British monarchy. There are connections to famous Scottish people along the way. Can you share just a little bit, for the interest of those who are watching, some of those connections and some of the roles that the Craufurd family has played and continues to play?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I need to point out is that our family have 2 surnames, because we represent 2 families from the past, the Houisons and the Crawfords. The Houisons have probably the best story and the most amusing or coveted connection with the past, and that's through an ancestor of mine called Jock Houison. I will shorten the story a little bit, but long story short, he saved King James V of Scotland's life from a murderous attack on a little bridge called Craman Bridge just outside his house. And for that, the king gifted him the land that he farmed. And you fast forward a couple of centuries, Sir Walter Scott then kind of arranged a ceremonial position for the Houisons, that they washed the hands of the monarch, and that was first carried out in 1822 for George IV, and it's been carried out for every monarch since, bar one, because we haven't yet got a date in King Charles's diary, but my father had done it twice for the late Queen and her father, George VI. So that's probably the the coolest one. But I'm also a member of the Royal Company of Archers, which is a family tradition. We know that at least 4 generations have been members of the Royal Company of Archers. And the significance of that is that the Company of Archers are the monarch's official bodyguard in Scotland. So for ceremonial purposes, we are on duty and do guards of honour and that type of thing. And for me, probably the highlight of my duties that I've done over the last 17 years was I stood vigil at Queen Elizabeth's coffin when her body was laid in state in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. So yeah, that's quite an amazing experience.
Is there?
I mean, do stop me when you get bored of this, because I
no, not bored.
And I can, if I just move my laptop ever so slightly, and I'll say that guy here. Yeah. This is Archibald Craufurd, and Archibald was born in the 1513. He was a second son of the family. Went to the church as a priest. And he was armourer and private secretary to Queen Mary of Guise, who's the wife of King James V. And then after she passed away, he continued as archer and private secretary for her daughter, Mary Queen of Scots. And we actually have the original letters from Mary Queen of Scots within the archives here in the castle. So yeah, some quite cool connections, and there are more, but
yeah, a lot more. But that's all right. We leave some things out there so that people want to follow up on their own too.
Absolutely.
Aditi, we're hearing a lot about the Houison and Craufurd background, Simon's family, but your upbringing was much different, I assume.
Yes. Yeah, so I was actually born in India, and my dad left India in 1971 to come to Britain to do his PhD. We didn't see him for 5 years at all, because in those days flights were expensive. And we joined him in 1976 and have been here ever since. So I'm bilingual. As most families in India from educated families tend to send their kids to convent. So I was sent to a convent. My education was in English, but as a second language. So when I arrived in Britain in age 9.5, it was very interesting because I spoke old-fashioned schooled English. But as you can tell, I've adapted fairly well. I now have a very Scottish accent. So yeah, it was very different. It took a wee while to get used to living here and the ways here. I think for the first 2 years, my dad used to come home and find us all crying, wanting to go back to India. So yeah, very, very different upbringing to Simon's. But what is interesting, and I think I told this story to some of the guests in the Trafalgar tour, was the one thing we found with Simon and I getting married was how people are actually looking for connections that they have in common with each other. And it's the politicians of the world who try to divide us. So when we went to India, I'm from a very conservative part of India. It's still all arranged marriages, and my aunt was aghast that I had married out. But interestingly, they wanted to know what Simon did. Engineer, so that was met with approval. Lecturer, that was met with approval. And then the final question was, what does his father do? And I said, he's a landowner. And we were landowners back in India. And it was interesting because the response then was, oh, she's married in the same background as us. And it no longer mattered that I had married out, because my extended family's opinion was, my parents weren't bothered, but the extended family was that the values of people around the world is the same. And as long as your values are the same, that's what connects you.
I love that.
Yeah, very different upbringing.
Yeah. Do each of you have a personal favorite place within the castle or on the estate?
Me personally, I love, we have a small river that runs down at the bottom of the hill below the castle. When I get the chance, I love to take the dog to walk down there and just listen to the river as it kind of what's the word?
Babbles along.
Babbles along. It's just that's my place of solace. I love that. So outside of the castle, that's definitely my favorite place. And I guess inside the castle, the library is probably my favorite place. But I try and avoid going in there too often because I get lost. I pick up a book, and that makes me pick up another book and another book, and I can while away a lot of time doing something not very useful. So I try and avoid that if I can.
Well, for me, it's the river on the other side of the estate. When we're out for a walk with the dogs, I often end up down there. And probably the kitchen is my favourite, not for cooking, but it's the warmest room in the house. So going back to my Indian roots. And also it's where we tend to kind of gather as a family. So I would say the kitchen is my favourite room in the house for that.
Heated floor as well.
And heated wet underfloor heating. Simon put that in.
Nice. Very good.
Especially just now when it's cold. Take your shoes off, put your feet down, and it's nice and warm.
How do you think your personalities and styles as individuals differ between the two of you, and how do those complement each other in managing your family, your home, and your business?
I'll let you go first.
We're very opposite. So I would say I'm the fiery one. I'm the one who's likely to get wound up more. And Simon's the calm, diplomatic one. So we're kind of yin and yang. And even work-wise, we complement each other. Simon's rubbish with detail, whereas I notice details. It's like when it comes to presentations, I can literally say to Simon 2 minutes before a presentation, I forgot, I've got that presentation to do. Can you cover for me? No problem at all. If you said that to me, I'd be beside myself. So I need to do a lot of prep beforehand. Never ever stick to the script, but as long as I know my subject, I'm fine. Whereas Simon is really good at winging it.
Yeah, but to the contrary, Adity will walk into the restaurant and see customers sitting at a table, and she might go, I think I've seen them once before, but she'll walk over and within 30 seconds is in some embroiled conversation about something. And I find that side of things very, very difficult. So the kind of going and networking with a group of people that you maybe know, maybe don't know, I don't find that easy at all. But the performing in front of the crowd, love that. That's good. And I tend to be the one who comes up with all the wacky new ideas of what we should do. The eternal optimist. And Adity is far more pragmatic and will look at things and go, yes, however, how are we going to do that or that? And a bit more realistic. I wouldn't say she's a pessimist because she's not. She's just a bit more
but compared to Simon, I feel like the negative Nelly. I was saying to our team, I feel like the Wicked Witch of the West compared to Simon.
Well, if people would like to find out more about the history of the Houison Craufurd family, if they would like to find out about Craufurd land and the opportunities to come and visit and to stay or to take advantage of some of the things that you offer on the estate, where can they find that information?
Our website.
Our website is the best port of call for that, but we also engage in Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. As well. But yeah, we tend to try and mostly you would find all the information about it on the website.
We're going to post all of those on here and give the links, but do you want to share what that website, where they can find the website address?
Yeah, the trouble is that we spell our name funny, so it's craufurdland.co.uk, but we spell Craufurd CRAUFURDLAND, and just because people don't want to know why we spell it wrong, we spell it the old Scots way. I'm led to believe that old Scots, we didn't use a W, and the use of the R, of the O or the U is kind of a bit of a strange one. Interestingly, the surname Craufurd actually comes from the place Craufurd, which is just near the Scottish-English border. And there's still an ancient ruin of a castle at Craufurd, which is where the name all comes from. and it goes back all the way back to the Roman times. The Scots and the Romans fought at this point, and there's a natural fording point on the River Clyde at that point at Craufurd, and that's where the ford bit of the name comes from. But the crew bit, or the craw bit, is, we think, from the old Scots word of blood, which is crew, so Craufurd, because the battles between the Romans and Scots were so ferocious that the river would run red with blood. And so you had Craufurd as the fording point of blood. So there's a cheery thought there. So everybody spells it wrong, us and everybody else. So because we all should be spelling it Cruford. Anyway.
Well, we will make sure that the proper spelling and the proper links are posted. And what a great story to finish this with. So Adity and Simon Houison Craufurd, thank you so much for taking the time to join us to share so many interesting facts about the history and the current status of the work that you're doing at Craufurdland. And we hope to continue to see updates about how you're working toward that sustainability, and hope to get more people coming to see you there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure. Great to see you.
All right. Charming, right? I mean, and so informative and so down to earth. You know, we often, I think, make assumptions when we hear about people being lairds or lords or nobility of some type, that they're going to be on some big ego trip and above it all. And these people are so down to earth. And part of that has to do, obviously, with the background. Part of it has to do with the fact that living the way that they live, while it may look glamorous from the outside, is really a lot of hard work. I mean, they obviously enjoy so much of what they are doing, but it is not a sit back and on your laurels and let life happen. It is making life happen every day. The other thing, and by the way, I think when I introduced, I gave the wrong name for one of their daughters. Their daughters are Indra and Manisha, and we had an opportunity to meet both of them, and just seeing what the whole family working, the girls working in the restaurant. They're not getting a silver spoon. They are having to work to sustain, and had an opportunity to talk to Simon and Adity about how they're raising their daughters when we were there visiting with them. And it really is very much a realistic, down to earth. They're not getting anything handed to them. They are not going to automatically inherit some special privilege. Their schooling right now is based on learning what hard work is about, and so is day-to-day life. So I so appreciate that. I appreciate that Simon and Adity were willing to take the time. Enormously busy schedules, as you can imagine. And even a few minutes before we recorded this, dealing with an issue on the estate daily, just even trying to make arrangements to record the episode, and things would come up, and just trying to work around it. In addition to working around time zone differences, working around their schedule, their full-time work schedule, with so many events taking place and things that they're still looking at doing on their property in order to make what they are doing sustainable, and not just for themselves, but for generations to come. And that, to me, is also a sign of people who understand what they're doing. You can find, we mentioned in the introduction, that they were have been featured on a couple of British shows. You can find them on YouTube if you do searches for Craufurdland. I believe that easy enough. But Country House Rescue, which was done back in 2012, just a few months after they moved into the house. And they were at a point of being a few months away of moved into the castle as their home. They were a few months away from becoming insolvent and not being able to keep the property. And they were just trying to put it into and keep it in repair. And that the show is a great example. Is one of those where an expert comes in to kind of help them determine what they're going to need and if they're going to be able to do it. And you see over the course of that program, that episode of Country House Rescue, how they begin the process of really moving toward this concept of sustainability that, as they said, they're continuing to work on now some 13, 14 years later. And you can also see an episode, which I think is somewhat more recent, of the family appearing on an episode of Antiques Roadshow, where they take the items that were used going all the way back to the 1800s. You saw pictures of that they are still using today to do that royal hand washing with the monarch, the reigning monarch of Great Britain. And there is an episode where the Houison Crawfords take those items and have them assessed by an expert, and the expert's reaction to it with the background, the history, the provenance is fun to watch as well. So take the time to do that. And yeah, I'm very much of the opinion that if opportunity ever permitted, it would be something of a big wish. I would love to go back. We were only able to spend part of a day at Craufurd with Simon and Adity, and we did have an opportunity to have dinner at the Laird's Table restaurant. All of it was just amazing. We got a partial tour of the castle, just a handful of the rooms, but I would love to go back. I'd love to stay, if I could, in the Tower House there, Airbnb. But I'm curious for any of you, did this prompt you to go, okay, I've never been to Scotland, but just seeing this, I would want to go there. If I did go to Scotland, I would definitely want to get to Craufurd, and I would want to take advantage of the cool things that they're doing on their property. Just be curious to know if this conversation caused that kind of appeal for you. While we're doing that, while you're commenting on that, I would love to share with you what's coming up. And we are reaching the end of the year for Coffee Breaks with Steve. We have a very special episode next week, as we are literally going to be wrapping up 2025 with next week's episode. And it happens that it is our 300th episode next week. By the luck of the draw and the timing of the calendar, we are celebrating 300 episodes on next week's show. Just to give you an idea, through today, 299 episodes, going on now on getting close to 7 years. As we get into April of next year, we'll have been on the air for 7 years of doing Coffee Breaks with Steve, which just blows my mind. 299 episodes through today's show. 168 of those episodes have been episodes with guests, not just me alone on here chattering. And 113 individuals have joined this show one or more times. 113 people have taken the time to come on this show at least once, and in some cases, more than once, multiple times even. So next week, 300th episode, Carissa and Shalane will be joining me, and we've got some special things planned that I think you'll enjoy, some ideas that we worked on and that are getting prepared for next week. It'll be a lot of fun as we celebrate, and please join us for that episode. And then just to let you know that we're taking the next couple weeks after that off for the holidays. My family gets into town, and I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to give you time for your family, your events that take place during the holidays. And so we will not be on the air on Saturday, December 27th or Saturday, January 3rd. We will be back on Saturday, January 10th, 2026, with a brand new episode. But we hope that you will tune in next week and have this little 300th episode party with us, and then be back with us after the first of the year, when we continue on with amazing conversations and guests. What are the topics that you'd like to discuss? Who are the guests you'd like to see us bring on to the show? I am so fortunate and so blessed and so humbled by the fact that so many amazing people are willing to come on here. And so many of those have come from suggestions, recommendations, even introductions that some of you have made. So if you've got those ideas, either for just a topic we can discuss or for a guest you would like to see us bring on here, yeah, great to get famous people on here, A-list actors. If you know them and you want to make that introduction, that's great. We do reach out to people on a regular basis to see if they're available. And I've reached out to some people who you would include among A-list celebrities. Not surprisingly, they are very busy, and in some cases, we don't even hear back from them. So I get that, right? As do you. But let us know who you would like to see on the show and what you'd like to see us talk about, all right? And don't forget, we do have a YouTube channel. Some of you may be tuning in there today. You can also go back there and see episodes of the show that have already been broadcast if you want to play catch up. But the other thing we'd like you to do, two things we'd like you to do. One, if you're not currently a subscriber to that channel, would you please go there after the show ends today and subscribe to our YouTube channel? Easy to find. And you see the channel right there. If you go to YouTube and put in Coffee Breaks with Steve, it'll get you there and you can subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, would you please share that site and share your excitement for Coffee Breaks with Steve as part of our Brew Crew with others in your network, in your family, among your friends, among your colleagues? Think about the people who weren't here today who would just so love to be able to hear and see this conversation with Simon and Adity Houison Craufurd and learn about the Craufurd Blend Estate and learn that history and just enjoy the program. So would you please take the time to share that? We have been continuing to grow on that channel. But if we continue to grow, then the algorithm puts us up front with people who might not find us otherwise. I'm not looking to get the attention for myself, but I would love for our guests and our topics to be able to get a great audience behind them. So please do that. And that is the end of that soapbox for me today. I do want to say this as we get ready to celebrate 300 episodes next week. Coffee Breaks with Steve is really about trying to reach out and touch lives. As we're in this holiday season now between Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and just whatever it is that people are celebrating, much of that is about how we relate to each other, how we touch each other. It's about family, it's about friends, and it's about recognizing that for some people, this time of year is not necessarily a fun and easy time. It can be very challenging for a number of reasons. And so we do have opportunities to touch lives in a way that can really be extraordinary. And so my reminder to you this week, as it is every week, is please find a way to make a difference in your world this week. God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Coffee Breaks with Steve.